4:03 a.m. South China Sea. The night sky above the Pacific is clear. The U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet sails in formation, a moving fortress of steel. At its heart, the USS Ronald Reagan, a 100,000-ton aircraft carrier, glides forward like a city on the water. Around her, destroyers and cruisers cut through the sea, their radars sweeping, their crews alert. Submarines prowl silently below. On the flight deck of the Reagan, fighter jets sit poised, their engines ready for launch at a moment's notice. But hundreds of miles away, deep inside a hardened bunker on Hainan Island, another machine is already awake. Inside rows of concrete hangars sit the pride of China's missile program, the DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicles, each one capable of traveling at Mach 5 or more, weaving through the upper atmosphere, designed to overwhelm defenses. To Beijing, these missiles are symbols of power, proof that China can challenge US naval dominance in the Pacific. Tonight, they are about to be fired in anger. At 4:10 a.m., orders come down from the Central Military Commission in Beijing. Strike the American fleet. Prove to the world that the balance of power is shifting. Technicians rush to their consoles. Digital maps flicker on screens. The coordinates of the US carrier strike group are fed into targeting systems. Giant launchers tilt upward, hydraulic arms locking into place. The ground vibrates as missiles are armed. 4:17 a.m. The launch order is given. With a roar that shakes the earth, the first wave of DF-17s ignites. Fire erupts from the silos. Trails of smoke streak upward as dozens of missiles punch into the sky. They vanish into the upper atmosphere within seconds, traveling faster than a bullet, faster than sound. The countdown has begun. The US fleet has minutes. On the bridge of the USS Ronald Reagan, alarms erupt. Red lights flash across the Combat Information Center. Officers shout over the noise, calling out numbers, tracking arcs of incoming missiles. Radar screens flood with red markers. Dozens of warheads inbound, traveling at hypersonic speed. It is the nightmare scenario. The weapon once described as unstoppable, now heading straight for the US Navy's most valuable asset. But the Americans are not caught off guard. For weeks, satellites have watched Hainan Island. Drones have tracked the buildup of fuel trucks, radar activity, and unusual patterns of movement. Cyber warfare units have been waiting for the launch codes to flow through Chinese networks. And tonight, as the missiles streak toward the fleet, the counterstrike begins. At 4:20 a.m., US Cyber Command injects a barrage of malicious code into the missile guidance system's data links. The effect is instant. Several of the hypersonics begin to wobble mid-flight. Their guidance packages flicker, starved of updates. Some tumble into the sea, vanishing in white plumes of spray. Others drift wide, their trajectories broken. But not all. At least a dozen continue forward, locked onto the Reagan's formation. 4:22 a.m. The first defensive line responds. From the decks of the USS Princeton, SM-6 interceptors streak into the sky. White-hot trails arc upward as the missiles race to meet the incoming threat. Seconds later, detonations flash in the heavens as interceptors collide with hypersonics in violent bursts of fire. Some succeed, others miss. The battle is only beginning. On the USS Bunker Hill, sailors man the new directed energy laser systems. Invisible beams of light lance upward, heating guidance fins, scrambling sensors. Several incoming rounds twist violently, losing control, spiraling into the ocean in glowing streaks. Still, a handful remain. The Reagan is in their sights. At 4:24 a.m., the second defensive layer comes alive. Phalanx close-in weapons systems spin up, their Gatling cannons screeching at 4,500 rounds per minute. Tungsten slugs fill the sky in a storm of sparks. One hypersonic round disintegrates under the barrage, flaming debris falling into the waves. Another detonates prematurely, its shockwave rattling the hull. The crew braces as one more missile closes within 3 miles. At the last possible second, an SM-2 interceptor slams into it head-on. A fireball erupts in the night sky, raining molten fragments into the sea. The fleet holds. The hypersonic threat, the weapon once called unstoppable, has been stopped. But the Americans are not finished. Survival is not enough. The order has already been signed. Eliminate the launch site. At 4:28 a.m., strike packages are unleashed. From Guam, B-2 Spirit bombers slip through the clouds, invisible to radar. From the Philippine Sea, Virginia-class submarines launch salvos of Tomahawk cruise missiles, their engines glowing as they skim low across the water. From the carrier itself, F-35C fighters soar into the sky, armed with precision-guided bombs. The target, the very base that dared to fire. At 4:33 a.m., the first Tomahawks reach the coast of Hainan. They streak inland, skimming just above the treetops, guided by satellites and drones. Chinese radar stations light up, trying to track them. But American electronic warfare aircraft flood the airwaves with jamming, filling screens with ghost signals. Operators fire at phantoms while the real missiles slip through. Explosions erupt as Tomahawks smash into radar dishes, communications towers, and command bunkers. Flames consume entire buildings. Generators explode in rolling fireballs. The B-2s follow. At 4:37 a.m., doors open beneath their wings and precision munitions drop silently toward hardened silos. The bombs hit with crushing force, penetrating deep before detonating. The ground shakes as concrete crumbles. Launchers are ripped apart, fuel depots explode. Ammunition stores ignite in secondary blasts that ripple like earthquakes. In the control bunker, Chinese officers shout desperately into radios, trying to coordinate defenses, but their screens are blind, their radars jammed, their communications cut. Within minutes, the base descends into chaos. At 4:41 a.m., the largest explosion yet rocks the island. A direct hit on the missile storage depot. Fire erupts upward in a massive column, lighting the night sky for miles. Shockwaves roll outward, flattening nearby structures. Secondary explosions continue for minutes as warheads and fuel tanks ignite in a chain reaction. The pride of China's hypersonic arsenal is gone in one strike. By 4:50 a.m., the base is rubble. Hangars collapse into smoking craters. Launchers lie twisted and burning. The very silos that fired the missiles now lie in pieces scattered across blackened ground. Out at sea, the U.S. fleet remains intact. The Reagan sails on, her flight deck still active, jets launching into the dawn. Sailors stand at their stations, their faces lit by radar screens, now clear of red markers. What began as a test of strength has ended in total humiliation for Beijing. The world will soon know. By sunrise, news outlets across Asia report massive explosions on Hainan. Satellite images confirm destruction across the missile base. Analysts are stunned. Hypersonics were supposed to tilt the balance of power. Instead, they've been erased before they could even land a blow. In Washington, the Pentagon issues a brief statement. The U.S. fleet remains secure. The threat has been eliminated. Nothing more. No details, no boasting, just cold confirmation of overwhelming success. In Beijing, silence hangs heavy. Officials scramble to explain how their most advanced weapons failed, how their prized base was turned into a crater in under 30 minutes. The myth of invulnerability shattered. For the sailors aboard the Reagan, the memory will never leave them. The alarms, the red markers flooding screens, the roar of interceptors firing, the shock of near impact, and then the sight of the horizon glowing with the fire of the counterstrike. The lesson is unmistakable. Hypersonics may be fast, but they are not invincible. Against America's preparation, its layered defenses, its cyber dominance, and its overwhelming firepower, even the most advanced weapons can be stopped. And the price of firing them is total destruction. The sky is clear. The sea remains calm. But the world has changed. In just half an hour, the US Navy has reminded everyone why it remains the ultimate guardian of the Pacific. And for China, the warning is clear. Fire on the fleet, and the response will not just stop the missile, it will erase the launch pad itself.